Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and welcome to the season premiere of Dawnbringers Season 4, Episode 1, Something Wicked This Way Comes. That's right, Dawnbringers is officially in our new season, Season 4. Season 1, we had the Sunless Citadel for 10 or 12 episodes. I keep forgetting to look back and see how many there were. Season 2. We had The Forge of Fury with 16 episodes. Season 3, we had The Ghosts of Saltmarsh with 26 episodes. This is now Season 4, Heart of Nightfang Spire. The Dawnbringers are now all level 10. They have left Saltmarsh, and we'll find out exactly where they are in the course of their adventures in just a few moments. We're going to start out, as we usually do, with a few announcements. First of all, thank you for waiting patiently while we work through some technical difficulties at the top of the stream. I think we got those ironed out for now. So first off, I'm going to talk about Jasper's Game Day. If you look all the way down there in the lower left-hand corner, you will see a logo for Jasper's Game Day, and you will see another logo for Initiative Coffee Company. So Jasper's Game Day is this incredible organization started here in my home state of Michigan by Fenway the Teen DM a couple years ago. She, unfortunately, the impetus for starting this was the loss of a couple of friends through suicide in a relatively short span of time, one of whom was her gaming best friend by the name of Jasper. And so they started Jasper's Game Day as a way to raise money through tabletop gaming to support suicide crisis centers around the country. So what started as a small grassroots charity organization has now turned into a nationally occurring event with them traveling to different places around the country. And coming up here in the beginning of May, we will be doing the second annual Jasper's Stream Week, which normally occurs after the flagship Jasper's Game Day event here in Michigan. However, because of everything going on in the world with quarantine and COVID-19, a lot of cons and in-person events have been canceled. But we have parlayed that into what is now going to be an absolutely incredible week of gaming. From May 3rd through May 7th, from noon to midnight, right here on twitch.tv/miniterraindomain. Make sure you hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button if you want, but hit the follow button and turn on the notifications so you get notified when we go live each day, because we've got some absolutely incredible games coming up. Now, I can talk about some of who's going to be there, but this weekend Jasper's is going to officially release a couple new surprise guests that are going to be showing up. But we've got games that are going to be run by Todd Stashwick of a television Hollywood actor, writer, and producer. In that very same game, Matthew Lillard, Scooby-Doo's Shaggy, will be playing in that game. That's on that Sunday. On that Monday at 8 p.m. to midnight, we've got Mr. Christopher Perkins DMing a game, and all 5 players bid in an auction that just ended yesterday, actually, at noon. They all bid for seats to play in that game with Chris Perkins. Chris Perkins' game alone raised over $3,000 for Jasper's Game Day through auctions. We've got games run by Kaylee Bray of the I get it wrong every time. It's the something dice and everything nice. But they have an amazing channel where they do videos as Disney princesses playing D&D. We've got B. Dave Walters running both an on-stream game and an off-stream game on a different day and time. Of course, that Thursday, we've got the Dawnbringers are going to be wrapping up the entire event in that last slot. And all week long in all of those amazing games, which we've also got Satine Phoenix running a game right before our game. We've got Stefan Pokorny running, the founder of Dwarven Forge, is going to be running an AD&D game. Sean Merwin, who you can look through any number of D&D and RPG books and see Sean Merwin's name written therein. I don't have the list in front of me, but as I said, this weekend we are going to officially be releasing the full list of games. We've got tons of sponsors coming on that are helping us to raise that money up. So as of yesterday, with the auction, with the raffle where we gave away a bunch of cool stuff through raffles, Jasper's Stream Week, still a little more than 2 weeks away, we have raised over $10,500. That just is incredible. Last year, in 5 days and 40 hours, we raised $6,000. So we're already almost approaching double our goal. So you're going to want to tune in for that. I am proud, Mini Terrain Domain is proud, and we all are proud to be partnered with Jasper's Game Day because it's such an important charity. So you're going to hear a lot about it in the next couple weeks. And then you probably won't hear anything for a while afterwards because I'll be exhausted after that's all done. But absolutely well worth it. We also have another way that you can donate. So a couple people have put the chat command in there for Jasper's that you can directly donate to them right now. Or you could type in !coffee in the chat and get a link to Metade Roast Coffee. It is a wonderful Brazilian and Peruvian medium roast coffee partnered with Initiative Coffee's Help Action. For every 12-ounce bag you purchase, $3 of that purchase price goes to Jasper's Game Day to the aforementioned suicide crisis centers around the country. So, excuse me, while we are talking about all of that and the whole point of this mental health awareness, it is important that you watching. These are some weird times right now, tough times. We're all being challenged. Many of us, myself included, I've been very open about my own anxiety and depression struggles and the fact that I now have sought therapy. But it's a real struggle. And I'm feeling it. Increased feelings in both respects, but it's important to know that no matter where you are, no matter what, whether you believe it or not, you matter, and your presence on this earth makes a difference. But it can be a struggle, and that's why we have made it so that at any time during any Mini Terrain Domain stream, or even while we're off the air, you can come to Mini Terrain Domain, type !help in the chat, or you can catch it during the streams down below in the scroll, and you will see the following resources available to you. In the United States, you can call the National Suicide Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. If you are in the military or a veteran, you can press the number 1 and get connected with a military specialized or veteran specialized counselor. If you prefer, you can text 741-741. In Canada, you can reach the crisis text line by texting CONNECT for English or PARLEY for French to 686-868. Or you can call the Canada Suicide Prevention Services in French or English at 1-833-456-4566. If you are one of our many friends from around the world, you can head over to or click the link if you are in the chat now for opencounseling.com/suicide-hotlines, and a lot of resources for countries all over the world will show up there. So please do not hesitate to use those resources. I do want to say a quick thank you to D&D Beyond for granting us insider access. You can mouse over the stream. You can see all of these amazing, now 10th level characters that these players are playing. And I use D&D Beyond to prep all my games. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't prep. To run all my games. Everything is at my fingertips on my other monitor here. And it's absolutely amazing tool. Be sure to check them out. They got a lot of cool new stuff. They're constantly upgrading. I just noticed today that the My Dice are in the My Stuff. They're still not available yet, but just seeing it there got me all excited. And finally, Domain Dice. You look over there above Dan and V now. Drown and Cantriel there in the upper corner, and you will see the number 103 red dice. Those are our domain dice. It is our way that you, the viewer, can participate in the stream, and you have been generous all of these year and a half plus, nearly 2 years that we've been playing. Domain dice allow the players to do cool things like re-rolling and all that good stuff. Speaking of which, I've noticed that we just got a resub from Tamiko, and I think Big Bearded Nerd gifted a sub. So this is how they work when you do things like subs, resubs. If you feel compelled to tip, all that money does go to enhance the channel. $5 tip. For every $5 tip, a domain die is earned, or 500 bit cheers will also earn them. And this is what they look like. Boom, boom. They now have 105 domain dice. I have graphics to allow up to 155 domain dice. In previous seasons, I think I had them for up to 35. And I keep getting challenged to have to make more graphics. So there it is. That's all the episode 1 season 4 pre-stream, or rather pre-game announcements.
There is actually one more announcement.
What is that?
Everybody, you get yourselves ready here.
Wait, what?
Ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. This is tough.
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy
birthday,
dear
Jake.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, I love you guys. That was the best. It was like listening to somebody try to sing happy birthday on a speech jammer.
Wow.
That delay is harsh.
I heard, dear Jake. You guys are definitely going to want to go back and listen to that. Somebody clip that for me. If somebody could clip that for me in the chat, that would be fantastic. That was beautiful. I love it. Yes, it is my 47th birthday today. And I could not think of a better way to cap off the day than playing D&D with my amazing friends. So let's get us caught up with the Dawnbringers. The Dawnbringers, before they were even known as the Dawnbringers, gathered in the town of Oakhurst, heading into a mysterious citadel at the bottom of a ravine, and they emerged eventually known as the Dawnbringers, though one of their number decided that she had other places she would like to go, and the adventuring life was not for her anymore. They headed off into back to the home of the dwarves, of the dwarf Talmud, where they met up with Talmud's cousin Thorgarn back in Blazingdell, the mining town, where they also encountered some gnome merchants that were selling a box of junk that turned out to actually be the slightly rusted and discombobulated clockwork wizard known as Fig. They headed into the Stone Tooth Mountain to take back the ancient mine of Kundrakar, a dwarven redoubt created over more than hundreds of years ago by Durgadin the Black, a renowned blacksmith of the region. After taking care of things there, they headed off to across the sea to a region known as Saltmarsh, a town called Saltmarsh, where it's best to say that things did not go their way. It was like oil and water, the Dawnbringers in Saltmarsh. Not once did they ever actually get to what their original mission was, though that is not entirely their fault. They were blocked at every turn. In the process, though, they did do much good. They rescued numerous refugees who were enslaved by various bandit groups, learning much about themselves along the way. Even Griveth, who had, in the wake of the excursion into the Sunless Citadel and destroying the Gulthias tree, he had taken a piece with him and become tainted by that, but was cleansed at a temple in Saltmarsh, removing the evil scourge from him. However, they also met, along the way, while rescuing the refugees, the slaves turned refugees, they met someone named Drown, who joined them briefly before taking off in search of the pirate ship. But it wasn't long before he returned, and not a moment too soon, as they met someone who would become their new patron, the Lady Vantage, who revealed herself to be an ancient bronze dragon, ancient bronze dragon hanging out there in service of the king. She bestowed upon them gifts and warned them that much trouble was ahead, warned them that the threat of a Chardalon, the ancient red dragon, had been marked upon Cantriel from the time she was a young child. And they also learned that when they destroyed the Gulthias tree in the Sunless Citadel, they actually freed the vampire Gulthias. They decided that it was time to leave Saltmarsh. There was after a massive siege on the city in which many people were killed, and the Dawnbringers were blamed for that. Thorgarn was, among others, was the most pissed off, probably. But they decided to move on and seek out across the way back at the Sword Coast and beyond, where they have been told they can find where Gulthias is returning to a place known as the Nightfang Spire. When they were returning across the sea, having a new ship, the Evangeline, bestowed upon them, and the captaincy granted to one Cantriel, the Bardic Ranger, though a bit reluctantly on her part. They headed off across the sea. They encountered a deadly storm and a storm giant quintessent by the name of Thorgarn, who acted as a herald, telling them that when they had destroyed the heart at Nightfang Spire, that they should head north to seek out the cloud giants who await them. And this is where we are picking up in the 4th season of the Dawnbringers. It is a few days later. You are still at sea. You know that you had a 10 to 14 day journey in which to get across the sea to back to the Sword Coast, depending on where you're hoping to make landfall. You know that in traveling across the sea in the first place, the Evangeline's magic was used up, and it would take 30 days before that magic would fully recharge. So you're traveling at the speed of the wind, as it were, or the wind in your sails. And we're going to say that it is, you're about 8 days into the journey. So you've had plenty of time to rest. Talmud probably looks a little bit thinner because he keeps, vomiting over the edge. Cantriel is starting to get the hang of what it takes to captain this ship.
More like let Victor do it.
Which is, at this point, just listening to Victor's counsel and mostly repeating what Victor says to do. However, when you were first underway, you all immediately said, we need to get into that room in the aft section of the hold, a room in which many people had previously been found dead, which made it be some sort of a mystery. Was it something I said? Everybody's leaving. I'm just kidding. I'm going to manage these domain dice real quick because another subscription just came in, knocking you up to 106. So that means we're going to turn this off. We're going to turn this on, and then we'll do this. All right. And then, yeah, so you decided to, Drown decided to grab the door handle and was immediately poisoned with purple worm poison. But eventually they thought, hey, why don't we just dispel magic and see how that works?
Real quick, go on record and point out that no one told Drown that a bunch of people had been found dead at that door.
That is true.
Drown didn't ask any questions. Drown didn't let us know what he was doing.
Incorrect on all counts, but we'll continue.
He didn't ask questions to the right people.
So Drown may be harboring a little bit of animosity towards his new adventuring party, the Dawnbringers. I mean, he's already, after seeing and hearing what's been happening, he's already questioning a little bit about what he's gotten himself into. But they managed to open the door to the aft. You all managed to open the door to the aft hold, where you discovered it was the treasury of the Evangeline. The most notable and prominent item in that treasury was, of course, the apparatus of Qualish. However, you've discovered that there were numerous chests, cabinets, bags, sacks, and other things, lots of glittery goodness. Who amongst the Dawnbringers would have taken point in cataloging and reviewing and identifying all of the items within the treasury? Or should I say Captain Cantriel, who would you have appointed?
Well, that's easy. That would have been Fig.
And this important question is, would you or any of you let the rest of the crew know what you found in this room? Let me tell you what you found, and then you can answer that question.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe we might know what's in the room.
So, as I said at the end of last season, I would have them roll, and roll they did. Now, I have provided all of these items to you in a Google Doc, so you'll be able to reference that. Because you'll have to figure out how you're going to divvy these up. I guess I'm going to make this quick aside. I'm dealing with a minor technical issue in my connection, so the standard rule lately has been I'm going to monitor the stream. If it gets too bad to stream because of lag, we will continue to play our game offline, and you'll be able to catch the VOD on YouTube in a couple days. And we'll let you know in chat what's going on with that, but just want you to know that. Okay, so it takes the better part of a full day or two to even get a hand hold on what you're looking at, because more than once you go to open a chest, it opens and it's not trapped, but it sort of opens and seems to have been holding a miniature interdimensional space that collapsed outwards. Picture that scene in the Harry Potter movie when they go to the vault, and when they touch treasure, it seems to sort of expand. Do you want the coins and gems first, or do you want the art pieces first, or do you want all the magical items first? All right, I'm going to go down the list here.
Just go down the list, yeah.
You have first discovered 1,200 copper pieces, a piddling amount, 7,000 silver pieces, 128,500 gold pieces, 71.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes. This is why this is in a Google Doc, and it's important that you know exactly what you have. 71,090 platinum pieces. Thanks, Dan. That's the reaction I was looking for. You have found a total of 12 gemstones worth 1,000 gold pieces each. And I have those listed out in what they are. You have found 10 pieces of art worth 250 gold pieces each, including 3 large well-made tapestries, a carved ivory statuette, a silver necklace with a gemstone pendant, 2 bronze crowns, a brass mug with jade inlay, a box of turquoise animal figurines, and a gold bird cage with gold and platinum filigree. 10 additional pieces of art worth 750 gold pieces. Ceremonial gold and platinum daggers with black and pearl in the pommel, silver and gold brooches, small gold idols, carved harp of exotic wood and with ivory inlay and zircon gems, 2 silver-plated steel longswords with jet set in the hilt, silver chalice set with moonstones, a gold dragon comb set with red garnets as eyes, 5 very rare art pieces worth 7,500 gold pieces each, a jeweled golden crown, 2 painted golden children's sarcophagi, they are small-sized, children or gnomes, jeweled platinum ring, a jade game board with solid gold playing pieces. Now the rest of this is going to be some magical items. Just in case you were wondering, I did the math. In art, gems, gold, platinum, copper, and silver, you have cataloged 898,982 gold pieces worth of treasure.
Treasure bath. Treasure bath.
You have found several potions that were in a leather satchel. A potion of speed, 2 potions of supreme healing, a potion of heroism, a potion of gaseous form, and a potion of clairvoyance. You have found 4 scrolls, 2 of which appear to be very powerful magic. A scroll of illusory dragon, a scroll of dominate monster, a scroll of protection from Fae, and a scroll of immolation. Those are 2 8th levels and 1 5th level spell scrolls. For weapons, you have found a giant slayer scimitar and a +3 rod of the Pact Keeper. For armor, you have found an adamantine breastplate, boots of the Winterland, a belt of frost giant strength, gloves of thievery. The last 3 items, one of which you already know what it is an apparatus of Qualish. There are a set of sending stones, and there is a beautiful instrument of the bards. It is a lyre or lyre. Now, I am going to, for my players, I am going to make this link available because I know you're going to want to pick and choose amongst all of this good stuff. But it's safe to say with all of the additional treasures and everything that you have close to probably close to 2 million gold pieces or more in treasure. You can understand now why it was so heavily guarded. I'm going to make this editable for you. And I'm going to put it in our group chat so you have it for longer than just this game. So you should be able to reference this right away. So I'll leave you now to react in kind and discuss amongst yourselves, and I'll ask that question again. Do you let any of the crew know, besides yourselves, what you have found?
That is an immense amount of wealth.
That's a mutiny waiting to happen right there.
Talmud spies the gauntlets after he figures out what they are, and he just kind of holds them out at arm's length, and he just goes,
The belt, you mean?
The belt. That's what it is.
Yes, the belt.
Big girdle. Looks like a weightlifter's, like an old school weightlifter's belt.
A burly man belt.
Well, I'm sorry. I was waiting for you to finish throwing up.
Is there some in my beard?
Well, there usually is. That's sort of status quo at this point.
Somebody should have told me before now.
Well,
You
my
could
dear,
probably fill that bottomless chest.
is that a challenge?
3.
How long has all of this just been kind of sitting here? I think this is more than, most cities would have access to.
So we have a ship that's a floating city of wealth.
Just as a reminder, I believe it was Fig and I think Cantriel also that knew a little bit of the lore of the Vieros, an ancient band of from a couple hundred years ago, a band of adventurers. The leader of which was Lord Sylvain Aetherlock, whose ship this once was, and who himself placed Victor as a guard. You had learned at one point that Victor had been guarding this ship for around 80 years. You also knew that Lord Sylvain Aetherlock did serve for a time as a masked Lord of Waterdeep. You also know that one of his members of the Vieros was a sorceress by the name of the Lady Vantage. You also learned that there was the only other one you learned about was a cleric king by the name, or a cleric who later claimed himself to be cleric king of the South, in the region of Cormyr, named Hycinerath. So I'll leave it to you amongst yourselves to figure out how you're going to divvy up any treasure in terms of magic items, blood brawl on the deck of the ship, whatever you want to do. Scotty, you're muted if you're talking.
Obviously, Talmud is interested in the belt. Thorgarn would he would be interested in the belt as well, but he would also wear the adamantine armor.
There it is.
What are the boots of the Winterland?
Believe they keep you warm in the cold,
yeah.
so you're
Gotcha.
immune
Okay.
to extreme cold, and I don't think you suffer difficult terrain for snow and ice, and you don't leave tracks, possibly.
Cool.
Yeah, so you don't slip on ice, you don't sink into snow, all that fun stuff.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I would be interested in the belt too,
Blood
because I actually only have a 16 strength.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to roll for it? That's what we usually did.
Yeah, I'd be good with rolling for it.
Okay. D20 highest result.
We can do that.
I got a 4.
16.
That would be you, sir.
Oh, Thorgarn, you didn't want it either? You didn't want it too?
I mean,
Roll, might as well.
okay, all right. I mean, 16 is tough to beat.
If it's already up for grabs and you were thinking of it.
That's an 8. So.
Rolled an 8. Better than a 7.
Okay, I guess I got it.
I mean,
There you go.
obviously,
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Yeesh.
Does anybody else does anyone else wear breastplates?
Armor does me 0 good.
I cannot. That is medium armor. I am too puny.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
obviously
you could have the breastplate.
the rod is obviously going to Dan.
Yeah, I don't think anybody else wants to multi-class into Warlock, so...
Cantriel's already
Unless,
picking up
you
the
know.
leer. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so that would be under Instrument of the Bards, and then specifically for the lyre.
Great.
Is it 2 sending stones?
It's a pair of sending stones, yes. Not like it's one magical item.
Yeah.
It's
essentially
one
it's like a
sending stone.
magical walkie-talkie.
Yes, I'm like, well, it's
Good
not.
luck
it's
who
not
has the other
useful.
I guess it'd be kind of useless.
It's one
That's not
half of a
treasure, that's an
magical baby
adventure book.
monitor.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Or it could be very interesting depending on who's on the other line.
It's all whispering.
That's not treasure. That's an adventure hook. Yeah, Giant Slayer Scimitar. That's cool. A little nerve-wracking for Drown, probably.
It's +3 though. Jeez. Oh no, that's the keeper. I'm the pack keeper. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Giant Slayer Scimitar. I don't think it has a bonus to hit. It might.
I do think that Fig would request to take some of the gemstones.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And possibly some spell scrolls. No.
I
yeah.
Them.
would imagine she wants all of them, or he wants all of them.
Well-
3. Yeah. Well, I think all 3 of those are wizard spells. So yeah. And anybody can use the scroll of protection if you can.
We could
So-
each take one. There's enough potions for everybody to take one, right? So we could each take one.
So just a reminder, my scroll use home rule, house rule, is that anybody can use a spell scroll unless, or the caveat is if you're not a magic user, then you have to make the DC 15 intelligence check to succeed at it. And
Okay,
also a good reminder with all these potions and their house rule is that potions are a bonus action to quaff.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yep. So
Yeah, I forgot you did that.
I know that some of you as players and some of you in the audience may be going, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing? Giving out this much treasure?"
Yeah.
All I'm going to say is I know what I'm doing.
Uh-oh. So what potion does everybody want?
I need potion of. I mean, they're all good for anyone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'll take speed if nobody wants to.
I would either take one of the potions of healing or heroism. Both will be okay for me.
I was looking at the gaseous form.
Oops. Oh crap.
I'll do clairvoyance. Why not? She already acts like a know-it-all.
something has happened to this list. All right, my brain's catching
Yeah, I
up.
screwed it up.
Uh,
I messed up the.
yeah. Ted, which manner of potion do you prefer, supreme healing or heroism?
I gotta look up heroism. I remember it's good.
It's real good.
You get temp HP, I believe, and the bless. It's as if the bless spell had been cast on you.
For an hour, no
I'm-
concentration.
I'm good
Wow.
with
That's
either,
nice.
whatever, but anybody else doesn't want.
Take your pick. I'll take whichever one's left. I'm happy with either.
Okay. Well, then I'll take the heroism.
So we're good. I'll take the supreme healing. Delightful.
This is our equivalent of a shopping episode.
It really is.
Play the elevator music.
But this is why I chose to do it this way as opposed to having you do all the rolls and stuff on stream.
Oh yeah, no, that's nightmarish.
Yeah. We're in a state right now where the buffering is increasing. So I'm continuing to keep an eye on it. People are still sticking with us a little bit. I'm afraid to try what I want to try because it might completely disconnect us.
Live dangerously?
I mean, the worst case is I'd have to restart the stream, but
I've also been holding on to this barbed tongue scimitar. If anyone would like it, I have no need for it. And I've just been.
What? I'm not familiar with it.
That. What does it do, Fig?
Each time, first time each turn you hit a target with a silvered weapon, you learn one of the target's hates or insecurities. You can use your bonus action this turn to deliver a cutting remark, and they must make a charisma saving throw. On a failed save, they have disadvantage on attack rolls not targeting you until the beginning of your next turn.
Interesting.
Yep, that was from the Saltmarsh Treasures supplement I purchased on the Dawnbringers, the DM's Guild.
That's us.
I bought it from the Dawnbringers.
And now we're getting treasure out of it.
All right. Thanks, Mia Geet, for the 1000-bit cheer. That's 2 more domain dice for the Dawnbringers here.
Thank you.
And I'll use this.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm going to use this opportunity to show off this season's new map overlay. We'll be using this to display maps, and you can see we've still got domain dice, and there's the Evangeline at Sea. And if you look real close, you can just imagine in the aft hold, they're all divvying up all their secret treasure.
Around a shiny steel lobster. Right. Does anyone in the group have proficiency with thieves' tools? Yeah. Right.
Nary a rogue in sight.
Not I, said the pig.
Yep. So the gloves of thievery are still useful. They'll give somebody, they don't require attunement, and they're invisible while you wear them, and they'll give you a +5 bonus to sleight of hand checks and checks made to pick locks. So, might be worth someone just taking it.
Would have been real useful getting into this room, huh?
Sure would have.
Oh, geez.
If nobody wants to... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
On the D&D Beyond, they don't have specific spell scrolls?
Correct. You'll have to make a note.
Okay.
I think you might be able to put what level it is, and then you can modify, you can customize the item by clicking on it.
Okay.
Yep.
Would I
We
be
should
able
have...
to
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Would I be able to take a illusory dragon? The scroll? If that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like everybody expected you to take all 4 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mentioned so.
Or at least
Yeah,
all 3. The protection scroll could go to anyone theoretically, but I have no objection to Fig taking it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
But
Fig, why don't you take the other potion of supreme healing too?
there you go.
There's another one.
Okay.
There's 2. Well, I don't think anybody's taken any yet.
I got one.
Oh, okay, good. Okay.
I
So,
don't have one yet. But I think
if-
they're.
If nobody wants
yeah.
the boots of winter, I'll take them because they would look great with my outfit, my white dragon armor.
Jeremy, if you didn't get a potion, I thought there was one for each of us. Perhaps I miscounted.
Then,
I don't know.
yeah, no.
Yeah,
I
there
think...
should be one for everyone.
Yeah,
then
there's 2 potions. There's 2 potions of supreme healing, so I think we both get one.
Sweet.
There are
So
things that modify my armor class from fighting skill and the feat, and it's not showing properly on my character sheet. So
For what's that?
I get the ability from Forge Domain Cleric to add, +1 to an item that doesn't already have such. I have the protection fighting style from Paladin.
Defense, right?
And then I have the feat dual wielder, which as long as I'm using 2 weapons, that adds. So not everything is actually calculating properly on my sheet. But
how much are you missing?
Well, the Forge Domain never allows you to select, and I'm assuming it's not calculating from the feat because it's showing a 16, and I should add an 18.
Right, so you're missing 2.
Yes. I mean, the Forge Domain, there's no selector of like, oh, I want to do it to this because it's just added.
All right, so the problem with Blessing of the Forge is it doesn't work on a magic item, so it won't work on the adamantine breastplate.
I thought it all right. Well, I thought it could work on anything that doesn't already have a +1.
At the end of a long rest, you can touch 1 non-magical object that is a
Okay.
suit of armor or simple or commercial weapon.
Well, then.
So that's probably where that's coming from, and then it might be the feat or set that you're wearing it.
I had just equipped it, but it's been that way for a while. It's not like it.
Oh.
It's not like it went down when I changed to the adamantine.
Got it. Now, do you have protection or defense? Because protection is the one where you use your shield to deflect an attack to an ally.
It's defense. The one that gives a.
Yeah, that would be +1 while you're wearing armor.
Yeah, defense. While you're wearing armor, you get a +1 to your save.
Okay, there you go. Because if you had the other one set, that would be why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, all right. Well, then somebody who might need something every day can get +1 because it's certainly worth it's certainly worth not taking critical hits to forego an armor class.
It sure is. Yeah.
Especially the stuff we've been fighting. Yeah. So with these Boots of the Winterland, I don't know if I could actually use them because I already have 3 attuned items.
That would be a problem.
Yeah.
If they require attunement, you won't be able to.
Right. I don't know.
I only have one item that requires attunement.
I haven't looked them up.
Okay, you guys are still with me in Zoom, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir.
I did a hot refresh while you guys were divvying up treasure. Because we were dropping frames like crazy. Somebody proposed, I think my own son proposed a buffering-based drinking game in the chat.
You're gonna kill them all.
And Tamiko said that her poor liver wouldn't be able to handle it. Weirdly, I did what is advised against when streaming on Twitch, which is I disconnected my Ethernet cable and I'm going pure Wi-Fi. And the stream is as strong as ever.
Living dangerously.
So we're going to try this for a little while. During the season 4, episode 1 treasure shopping
session.
Money.
So Scotty, the Winterlands boots might be worth wearing because they give you resistance to cold damage. I forgot about that. That is
okay.
Super good. So depending on what you already have attuned.
Meanwhile, we cut to a scene up on the deck where the rest of the crew is like, I have not seen the Dawnbringers for like 2 days. They are the worst sailors ever. Where are they?
I actually already have resistance to cold because I have white dragon armor.
That's right.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it does. The boots do require attunement. So if someone else wants to take them,
I'll take it.
yeah, go ahead.
Cool.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
I mean they're good. They're pretty good.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yes, take all the treasure. Disseminate it amongst all of you. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
What do you do when your DM gives you 2 million gold worth of treasure?
Yeah, see, that's what
I
Cantriel's
mean,
gonna.
We're in the middle of the ocean. Where are we going to spend it?
This season will be played out in real time.
Cantriel's gonna go over to Drown and like hold the
Played
way
out
up
in
in
real
front of him.
time. Yeah.
Hold up.
Season
The
season
leer.
4, Dawnbringers, Vegas.
Still sailing.
You know how you do that thing with curses?
Yes.
Is this cursed?
He has no way of knowing, so he'll stare at it for a moment, flourish his hand. His tattoos will begin to glow green and writhe and start snaking around the lyre and wrench away from it. He'll cast Remove Curse on the object.
Thank you. And she'll just like
Sure.
tuck it in her arm and walk away.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
I have a bad habit of these things, so appreciated. Every single magical item has been cursed.
Well, yeah.
Except for the gauntlets.
Well, that was the Salt Marshal do that to you.
All right, so Jeremy, you took the boots.
Aye, sir.
Nice. So floating looks like we still have a scimitar, sending stones, and gloves of thievery.
So I'm just gonna throw this out there that the floating giant said something about going to the giants. So I don't know if we should be carrying a sword that's a giant slaying weapon into a peaceful negotiation with giants.
Sort of
Certainly
sending
not.
mixed
But-
messages.
Maybe
Certainly
we
not
should. Maybe we should hold on to it just in case.
Absolutely. Don't brandish it or threaten them with it, but
I
we
would-
should
yeah.
definitely have it on us.
Fig, can you put it in your hat if we need it?
There you go.
Absolutely.
Someone will need to be attuned to it to really get the use out of it, I believe.
I don't think anything that I have is attuned. I don't know where in D&D Beyond I can find that out.
It's at the bottom of your equipment list.
Yeah.
Ah, perfect.
You can select the
I-
magic items and then.
I don't have anything I'm attuned to currently.
Oh, wow.
Not even that cloak.
Apparently not.
What cloak?
Is it Cloak of the Monobank?
Uh,
I don't know if it requires it.
It'll tell
has
you in the
not.
list of. It'll tell you in the attunement
Seemed like it
section
would
if you
require
have
it.
something eligible for attunement.
Oh, it doesn't. Holy crap!
Yeah,
I never
I don't-
realized
Really? It
that.
doesn't?
Nope.
Mm,
It was what? quote?
It's because it can only be used.
Oh,
it can only be used
yeah,
once.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
yeah. Aside from that and Ghost Cleaver
There
and
you
then
go.
the boots, that's the only magic gear I've got.
Das boots.
Da boot.
All right, so I have Erasmas the Pact Keeper.
So yeah, I can attune to it just in case we do need it, so somebody can wield it.
Yeah,
Works for me.
I definitely think that's a good idea.
I'll throw this out there. You fight with a two-handed weapon. I
Yep.
fight with
Oh, that's a great point. And do you use finesse?
no, but you can fight with scimitar with strength.
Yeah, you can. Absolutely.
Do you have two magic weapons?
I do, but one of them is just a +1 warhammer.
I think it would definitely be better in your hands, so
Yeah.
for your style of fighting.
Not that I'm really
No,
interested
no.
in fighting with a scimitar as a dwarf, but
Well, if we run into trouble with giants, then whip it out.
all right.
That's the name of our new album.
No, that's the whip it out is the first track on Trouble with Giants.
Perfect.
Wow.
Been added. So you can attune an item, but not equip it, right?
Yes. You just need to make sure you keep it near you. But that doesn't matter for the character sheet.
All right. Have you just about
Yeah, I think we're good, right?
divvied everything up?
So I like it if we would decide to fight trolls. That's nice.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
And then
What are we doing with the rest?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That's
Is what
the
are you
question.
doing with the rest of the treasure? Some of it has. It's kind of like when you unpack anything from a box, it will never go back into the package the way it was packed. Because some of these extra dimensional chests literally burst open. So this looks like a proper treasury. There's literally, I mean, you've got in actual coinage, you've got almost 200,000 coins just everywhere.
I think we should definitely divide some of this amongst the group of the crew.
I'm assuming the previous captain, when he gifted you command of the ship, didn't make any of those arrangements.
Of course not.
How many crew do we have?
There is, your crew consists of, because you took on
Cooked.
Madam Thela as the cook. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 that make up the crew, counting Victor, and then the rest of you. So there's 12 like regular sailors. The others are fill the role of cook, surgeon, quartermaster, bosun, and first mate.
So I don't know, how much they make. Are we the ones who, or is Cantriel the one supposed to be, paying them a regular salary? And if so, like, what is that?
Well, what are we doing with the ship? Are we keeping the ship? Are we selling it, or?
It's my ship. We're not selling it.
Well, Dervish did say that the ship was on loan.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Perhaps we should speak with Victor to see if any of those arrangements have been made.
Easy enough.
Well, I was just trying to get amounts, because here's a bonus, and it's like, oh well, I make much more than this. I don't want to insult them.
Well, do we want Victor to know about it, or do I go up to the top deck and start asking him questions, and then, hey, look, there's money for everyone?
I think talking to Victor in private would be better, but certainly not in this room.
So you don't want him to know about the full treasure?
I mean, you can kind of see that Thorgarn is wrestling with the doing what's right, and he's a dwarf.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, do what you think is fair.
Well, I mean,
I don't particularly care, but if you cheat the crew and they find out about it, that'll become a problem.
yeah, like I said, this is a mutiny.
But you're
waiting to
also
happen.
like, if you give them too much, they're just gonna be like, oh, I can go retire, and they just leave the ship, and that you aren't breeding loyalty, you're breeding people leaving you.
So you pay them in installments. There's their incentive. Stick around, you get this much money at the end of it.
That sounds like a better plan, yeah.
Yeah, we don't split it up until we land. Then they get their share. If they want to leave the ship, then who cares? No offense. He looks at Cantriel.
Yeah, but then he comes back to an empty ship.
I'm sure he can manage just fine.
So wait a second.
Start with asking Victor what the situation is, if the crew have already been paid.
All right.
He's like putting these boots on and lacing them. He's like, so wait a minute, we're just borrowing the ship?
Well, it's
So we're
on,
stealing all this stuff?
That's kind of what
Finders Keeper still holds.
Fair enough. He continues lacing. Problem
I
solved.
suppose this is not the time to mention then that there are many multicolored stains in my laboratory now from some failed experiments.
That's fine. Figured add some color to the environment.
He just he kind of looks down, just kind of oh, he feels bad about it. Yeah.
All right.
All
So
So Cantriel would she'd head up to the top deck and go to find Victor and kind of pull him aside out of earshot of others. Vic, darling.
when you come up to the deck, you find that Victor is standing at the very bow of the ship, not standing, he's floating at the very bow of the ship and seems to be staring out into the blue expanse of sea.
What's the matter? Cat got your tongue.
He does not seem to acknowledge your presence.
I gotta like stand right in front of his like line of sight.
Which one?
The big one.
You, of course, end up having to get pretty close to him. When suddenly he sort of starts, he's just, whoa! And immediately with one of his eye stalks gives a sort of salute above his eye. Ahoy there, Captain. I apologize. I was staring off into the middle distance, something I've been working on since we set sail. It appears I'm getting quite good at it.
Evidently. Listen, you've got a minute. I have a couple questions
For you, I've got 5.
Perfect. That's even better. Perhaps back in my quarters where the ears are fewer.
He sort of looks around. His eyes seem to look at your ears for a moment. And then he kind of looks around and, yes, very well. To your quarters. And he'll follow you to the rear of the ship to where your quarters are located under the quarterdeck. It's a little bit of a tight fit for him to get in there. Like a corpulent man trying to get through a rather small door as he's kind of hold on one moment.
Can she like grab a couple of the stalks and like
and he exhales strongly and then pushes through the door.
There you go.
There we go. I sense something.
Close the door.
Should we whisper conspiratorially?
Well, it does make it more fun, doesn't it?
Yes. What is it, Captain? Who do you want me to kill?
No one as of yet, though you're still on standby.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Quick question for you, my dear. The crew, have they been paid yet or a salary arranged?
Captain, the previous captain, Captain Dervish, had arranged for all of them to be given a stipend. They were being paid, as I understand it, from a trust.
Whose trust?
If you ask me, it's misplaced trust in Dervish.
I was going to say, is it that he's expecting them to trust him to pay them?
Many of them, as I understand it, received payment in advance.
All right.
For a period of service. He did make another payment to them prior to loaning this ship to you.
So right now they have money in their pockets, you're saying?
At least until we hit a port. As soon as we make landfall, depending on where that may be, it is almost assured that they will go ashore and spend most of their money.
So you're telling me to make sure I have a carrot to dangle for them to keep them coming back to the ship after we hit port after port after port.
If you plan to keep sailing at sea, then eventually, yes, you'll probably want to pay them. Captain Dervish paid them enough to maintain the ship and get you across to the other side.
And how much was that rate?
I do not know the value of money, so I do not know how much he paid them. I know that some value it. Some of the shiny bits you prefer more than others of them.
Yes, some of them are quite shiny and quite, good to have around. So duller copper bits you don't really need to worry about.
They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but I don't understand beauty.
Well, my dear, you have many eyes, so you must be very beautiful if that's the idea.
Well, I know that I'm beautiful. But what I cannot determine is who among you is beautiful. You all seem to have differing opinions of yourselves, and, if you will pardon my frankness, I think you all look rather hideous.
Well, that's perfectly fine by me.
Will that be all, Captain?
For now, yes. He didn't keep anything tucked away, did he, in terms of books or anything of that nature?
Dervish?
Yes, Dervish. Or is it seat of his pants?
You
too?
assume Dervish like to read books? That's...
Well, I'm assuming that he read in the first place.
I've never seen Dervish read anything.
Of course, that's what I was worried about.
Except for maps
right.
and charts.
Well, this at least gives me an idea. So, yes, that's it. Carry on. Keep practicing your stare.
Ah, yes, very well. If you need me, I will be at the bow of the ship, staring off into the middle distance.
Good. Just keep an eye out for the loincloth. You know what to do.
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent.
It takes him a few moments to maneuver himself back out the door, after which he pops through the door frame back out onto the deck.
Cantriel's actually standing there just pondering, like, I should have him do this more often just for the enjoyment of watching him do that.
Talmud walks up to Thorgarn, wherever he is, and he holds up these 4 like block-like stubby little fingers on his hand. 4 notches. My belt has shrunk since we've been sailing on this damn ship. When are we going to get there?
Well, right now, if you look out there, all you're going to see is blue. So don't look out there. I know you don't want to hear this, cousin, but they say we'll get there when we get there.
That's not an answer. It's like when you ask your parents why, and they say because. It's not an answer.
As much as Moradin has blessed me with abilities, foresight is not one of them.
I'm just going to stop eating. There's no point. There's absolutely no point.
You need to keep up what strength you've got, man. What if there's another fight?
What's that supposed to mean? What strength I've got?
You're talking about losing weight here.
Never mind. He kind of turns and like storms off all pissy.
Excellent. Maybe if he's so angry at me, he'll keep his mind off the bloody boat.
Just get him to rage eat.
Cantriel would have come back down too after speaking with Victor. She's not just staying up in her room.
I'm sure one of his ancestors has an appetite.
Who has an appetite?
Not Talmud doesn't.
Well, of course he doesn't have an appetite. He's throwing it up over the ocean floor.
He will probably starve soon.
We're being rather dramatic, aren't we?
That's what happens when one stops eating.
Talmud likes to be dramatic.
Fair enough. It does seem to be common among dwarves. He kind of cracks a half smile at Thorgarn.
He looks up at your, over 6 foot frame.
Over 7.
Over 7 foot.
Over 7.
6 foot.
From his under 4 foot. Yeah.
Oh, it's like Baby Yoda in the Mandalorian. Sorry.
Well, I mean, it's the emotions. They run hot. What are you gonna do?
Master them or follow them.
Or dunk them in cold water.
We could drown him.
I don't recommend drowning him.
One
I
drowns
don't
enough.
recommend it either. It's quite unpleasant.
Well, you're a little bit dry there, Drown, for as amusing as that wordplay would be.
Huh. Well, what did the floating eyeball have to say? Do you need to pay the crew?
Well, according to Victor, and by the way, it's eyeballs, he basically said that they've already been paid, but once we hit port, there's no guarantee that they won't run off, never to be seen again.
Well, when we get to port, are we continue sailing or are we disembarking ourselves?
Disembarking.
He pokes his head back into the cabin. We're leaving.
I'm sorry.
He suddenly
Thorgarn.
around. Talmud suddenly pokes his head in. We're disembarking.
Well, I mean, to take care of what we need to take care of, we can't do it off the ship itself. But I mean, I'd still think that at least a skeleton crew to keep it going.
So how is the boat getting back to Dervish if he's off, sailing in the dreadnought?
One thing we will have to see to, there was an unforeseen consequence of breaking the spell holding the door. And he looks over at the rickety, rotten, like flinders of doors barely on their hinges. That is not going to keep a curious crew at bay. We might want to see to that.
I could put the stuff in my hat.
All of it?
That much?
No.
There's an awful lot of stuff there.
At the very
could
least, we could
separate
repair
it.
the door.
That might be the easier step of the process first. Go with that one and then try to get more hats.
How would we lock it? It had quite the lock the last time.
We won't be able to recreate what was there, but there is a functional lock on it. We could at least reuse that. And the reputation of the door is fearsome. If the crew think they'll die by touching the handle, and he looks down at his hand, not inaccurate, that enough is as good as locking it.
We'll just say that Talmud touched the door.
There you have it.
Doesn't the door though look different?
Right,
Didn't it have its like sheen taken off?
Yes,
so it
the
looks
door
old?
looks very aged. And as a reminder, the first time you were on this ship, you were told about the fact that I think Dervish mentioned the fact that nobody had ever been able to get into this room. So it's a pretty safe bet that either Dervish himself had no idea what was in this room, or he did, and he was lying about it.
Seemed more likely that he was lying about it, and that's
say,
the trust he was paying people out of.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so there are carpenters and supplies on the ship. We should have them fashion new doors if possible, and then we can simply hang them in the old door's place.
So just ask them to make doors randomly.
If you have a better idea.
We could move not all of the items, but maybe a majority of them into Trail's
So
room.
are the doors to this room the same size as other doors?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh.
So why don't we take a door off somewhere else, put it on here, and bust this one up? Talmud and I can have a tussle over something and break a door, and we need a new one.
Perfect.
I like that. Just say that you're trying to force feed him.
So you're going to make it look like you're going to break a door? You're going to break a door?
We're going to take a door from one of the existing cabins, replace the janky old, now not locked door with it, and if it has a lock, lock it, great, and then break the other door, and we need the ship's carpenters to replace it.
How many of you...
Break the other door.
Right. How many of you are going to be involved in this attempt? Thorgarn and Talmud are apparently involved in the ruse of breaking the door.
Aye.
All right. Who else is doing something in this attempt? What we're going to do is we're going to see how successfully you pull off this ruse. So what I'm going to do is allow each of you to say what part you're going to do in carrying this off over the course of an indeterminate amount of time. That's less important. What's important is what each of you is going to do to aid in this task, and then I will have you make appropriate rolls.
I'm essentially going to stand guard near the part of the hold where the previously cursed door was, and keep people the hell away from it under the pretense of captain's orders, that sort of thing. And if anyone tries to come near, I will give them a look that says I will break them in half.
So that sounds like intimidation to me.
That'll work to me.
All right. So, Cantriel, what are you doing?
I'll go up on deck and I'm going to pretend to captain. Like, basically, she's just gonna go around like telling them to do things. It's gonna make absolutely no sense, but she's like throwing out words that she's been hearing from Victor.
Okay. Sounds like a performance check to me.
Okay.
Fig, what are you doing?
I think Fig will be working on taking the old door off, and fitting the other door on.
Okay, so you're gonna be doing the actual labor of the door. And then while I figure out what I want that to do, tell me what you're gonna be doing, Griveth.
Griveth is going to go around to the crew proselytizing.
Okay. Okay, so we've got Cantriel and Griveth are basically distracting the crew. So I'm gonna need performance checks from each of you, and you can use your religion if you would like, Griveth.
Okay.
I was also going to throw a guidance on Fig.
Fig, I'm gonna have you do a couple different roles. You're gonna do intelligence roll for figuring out just the swapping of these doors, and how to do it properly. And then I'm gonna have you do this one's tricky. It could be dexterity based. Yeah, let's add in we'll add in a dexterity check. You could use sleight of hand if it helps you. Drown.
Put on the gloves.
Drown, you're going to do intimidation.
Oh, yes.
So this is all before the fake door even gets put in place.
Yeah, this is like I'm basically going to post guard there and just keep the crew the hell away so they can't see that the door has been...
This is all... This is all... You're sitting around describing what you're going to do, and we cut to the scenes of the actual heist taking place. It's very Ocean's 11. So, I want Drown. Go ahead and make me your intimidation check.
I will do. That is +9. That is a 21.
All right, yeah. So a couple of times people look like they're coming down for various reasons to do something, and you just stand there imposing. And at one point somebody comes down the stairs and the light is coming down from above, and otherwise you have shadow at your back from the difference of light, and you see them take 3 steps down, look at you, and without hesitation turn around and walk right back up the steps. One of the crew members is a rather fierce looking man by the name of Vane, and he stops for a good few seconds staring you down, and then he gives you a sort of dismissive blah, Like I didn't want to go down there anyway. But you are successful in keeping the crew from heading down. That's a couple that early on tried to come down. Cantriel and Griveth, go ahead and give me your checks.
That would be a 22.
I got a 19.
All right, so I want just a brief example of Cantriel's fake captaining.
Oh, she'd totally walk up to one of the crew members. Right, looks like you're doing a fantastic job. That's Yar. You're Yar. Yes, right? Good job on you.
Yeah.
Make sure you go aft and bow when you're done.
Aft and bow.
Yes.
Aye, Captain. As one of the sailors is mysteriously walking to the back of the ship, scratches his head, and then walks to the bow of the ship, he passes by Griveth, who is proselytizing. What does your proselytization look like?
Have I told you about how I came to find the blessed Eldath?
Don't listen to him.
Do you mean today?
Well, would you like to hear about it? Would you like to know how you can be blessed by the wonderful Eldath?
Do I have a choice?
You always have a choice, good sir. But let me tell you the benefits.
And as Griveth begins listing the numerous benefits of serving Eldath, Fig, how did your checks go?
So for my straight intelligence, that was a 16.
Okay.
And for my dex with the guidance, is 15.
Okay. So these are doors, simple wooden structures with basic hinge systems.
There's no
It
such
takes
thing
you
as simple doors.
for the first time ever for the Dawnbringers, somebody does something with a door without any trouble. As Fig, you are able to figure out which door is going to best fit, and you do a quick swap between one of the doors to one of the rooms that's a fully intact door. Grab the other door off the hinges once you have the aft treasure hold secure, and get it in place and staged for Thorgarn and Talmud. I would like you each to tell me narratively how you're going to pull this off, and we'll see what kind of roles we're going to have you do.
So I kind of like the thought that Talmud wasn't there when this was discussed, and he has no idea that this is coming. And it's just that kind of predictable situation. And we've already established that Talmud is not in the best of spirits currently, and it's a little kind of on edge. So I think Thorgarn's probably fairly confident that he can goad him into the response that he's looking for.
You said exactly what I wanted you to say. I was going to be like, look, is there any chance that he is just clueless to this? So I am certain there is a rich past of Talmud and Thorgarn, like wrestling and getting into trouble as kids. For the longest time, Talmud was always bigger, was always stronger. Thorgarn is pretty happy with how strong he's gotten since he's joined this whole cadre. So he is just going to like sucker punch tackle Talmud and just get him wrestling and just try to aim him at the staged door and try to break it a little bit more, whether it's with himself or with Talmud. We'll get put back together when it's all over, and if nothing else, it'll be a pleasant diversion for Talmud and he'll be happy about it.
All right. So Thorgarn, you can go ahead and make your attack roll and describe how you're going to do that. And Talmud, it's up to you how you're going to react to this.
That's a 18 on the die. So if I'm not really using a weapon, that's a 26.
All right.
Yes, that hit. If there was any question, yes.
And I'm thinking like it's pretty much I'm just trying to shoulder tackle him. If I can get that first hit and just have him just drive him back into the door, be fantastic.
So as Thorgarn tackles you, you go flying backwards, and it's like, Fig, you just got this door hung, and you know what the intention is ultimately, but you did a pretty good job with this, and maybe for a moment it looks like maybe nobody will notice if this door looks old and janky. And then suddenly, two dwarves go slamming through it, crashing. As soon as they crash through the door, Talmud, it's up to you how you're reacting to this.
So I think like it breaks off of like the jam, like that's what like gives way the first time as we go through it, and like maybe the board that kind of runs along with the door jam kind of like comes off, and that's how we tumble into the room. And Talmud stands up, and without even a word, his tattoos begin to glow, and his cousin, I think it's Torkenfell. Yeah, cousin Torkenfell comes out of his own face, and he's like, "It's about time!" And he's gonna run over and grab Thorgarn, and he's going to put his head through part of the remaining door.
All right. Make an attack roll against Thorgarn.
I'm going to use a domain die.
Oh my
PvP domain dice.
Okay, so that's an 18 on the die. So I imagine that probably hit.
Yeah. I assume we're not wearing armor on the boat.
I'm definitely not.
If you were, you would have been advised once again that it's not a great idea.
Yeah. So not in armor, not wielding weapons. That's an 11 armor class. Oh no, I guess my barbarian armor class would kick in, which.
So you successfully slam Thorgarn through, and I'm going to let you all just take it for a moment or two and narratively play out the last couple blows of this fight, because you have at this point successfully destroyed the door, which was the intention.
Excellent.
So go ahead and show us how this fight continues and resolves.
So I am actually Thorgarn is trying to, keep himself calm to keep the plan in action. So if there are pieces of the door, I'll probably like grab it, grab a piece and, bash it over him. I'll aim for, his arms, which I know are strong and can take the hit. But it's supposed to look like I'm trying to give him a dead arm, so he's not swinging back at me. And then I'm just kind of, gonna try for a sucker punch, knock the wind out of him. But I'm gonna lose the fight, but ham it up. So, Jeremy, tell me how Talmud wins.
So I think you break that board kind of over his shoulder, and he just kind of looks down at it, and then looks back at you, just this crazed visage, and he drops down on all fours and then leaps at you and just puts like his feet on your waist and his hands like on this either side of your neck, and just like rides you down to the floor, and he's just like, just like screaming bloody murder. And I think it's actually probably somebody else on the crew maybe even one of the other Dawnbringers, who comes in and like pulls Talmud off before he starts actually hurting Thorgarn.
Well, with that, you have very much successfully accomplished the goal of swapping these doors out and breaking the door that was already ruined when it was dispelled. The magic was dispelled from it.
The peace of Eldath be with you, brother. Calm down, calm down.
I think it's probably Griveth and like the one person on the boat who's actually started listening and is like catching on to Eldath and her teachings. And he's like mimicking Griveth.
Cantriel, you hear the boatswain's whistle, the bosun's whistle, summoning the captain to the deck, to the front. You actually hear it coming from the bosun Arnold. At the same time, you're starting to hear a commotion. You saw some of the crew was distracted by Griveth's proselytizing. Nobody seemed to notice the slight crashing sound coming from below. And the rest of you hear this bosun's whistle. And some of you maybe have realized that this means that somebody's trying to get attention. And Cantriel and Griveth being up on deck, you see as some of the crew begin moving towards the fore, towards the bow, and the bosun Arnold comes to you, Captain.
Yes.
And he just, well, I don't know what it is. And he points off the starboard bow, but he's not pointing at the horizon. He's not pointing into the water. He's pointing about 45 degrees up into the sky. There is a bright light. It is midday. Skies are a little bit gray, but there is a bright light, and it seems to be growing brighter. And it seems to be heading right for the Evangeline. And that's where we're going to take our break.
Of course.
Of course. Yeah, so we are going to go ahead and take a 10-minute break here. And while we do that, I just want to thank everybody for sticking around through our technical difficulties. Hopefully this will all get resolved with some minor upgrades I'll be doing tomorrow. The Wi-Fi seems to be holding up right now. But we do appreciate you putting up with that. And we'll be back in just 10 minutes to continue the season premiere of Dawnbringers Season 4. So we'll see you on the other side of the break. And we're back. I did have the music perfectly timed out to that 10-minute break, but I wasn't paying attention. we were talking during the break. Yeah, so we are back. Real quick, just want to say sorry to hear that, Spike. Glad that your mother is on the mend, though. And we're happy to see you here and wishing well to you and your family. Yeah, sorry to hear that. Hopefully we can cheer you up a little bit with our pretend for the next little bit. So right before the break, you got the call from your lookouts and from the bosun that something was coming, and you could see up in the air, you see this bright light drown and basically everybody but Griveth and Cantriel. Would you come up to the deck at the sound of the bosun's whistle? Is there anybody that wouldn't come up?
No, I'd probably head up.
Thorgarn would probably be the last one up, trying to extra sell the Talmud's victory.
All right. By the time you all come up, we'll actually see sort of from Thorgarn's perspective as the gray sky, you come up out of from under the hold, and there's this artificial light, almost like when you were fighting the Elder Storm Elemental a few days ago, when the lightning would light up. There's this artificial light playing over everything, creating a brighter than daylight look. And you all see this massive light growing larger and larger in the sky as it appears to be heading toward directly towards the ship. Victor immediately rushes up to your side, Cantriel. This is the part where you're supposed to tell us what you would like to do.
I don't suppose you can steer the ship faster away from it. No.
Which way would you like to go? You say come about, and you tell us a direction, port or starboard.
Come about whatever side looks better, quite frankly. I mean, it's up in the air. Who's to say which direction it's going to hit us or come towards us?
One of Victor's eyes sort of looks off to the side at Arnold, and then Victor immediately begins floating around to different people, barking orders. You hear him telling them to to pull in certain sails, change directions, adjusting angles. A couple of the men of the crew are ordered to the capstan. He appears to be giving the order to bring her about sharp and fast to port. And he has a couple of people on standby to drop anchor in an attempt to quickly maneuver the ship around.
Is he trying a bootleg turn?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, then Drown, seeing that's about to happen, will head toward the capstan to raise the anchor once they're done with that.
All right.
And we move the ship by magic. The special ability.
You really just want to pandy that one around, don't you?
It's
Now it would seem like the time.
it's not set yet.
Hasn't been long enough.
Oh, it hasn't?
Not for the fast speed movement, no. It takes 30 days for all of that ability to
I
return.
forgot.
Yeah.
Okay.
You said it's a light that's coming, right?
Yes, it is a bright light that appears to be getting brighter, and potentially louder. Or not louder, larger. No.
With
Yeah.
with us moving away from it,
You're
I
moving
know there's
toward it.
towards it. Okay. Is there one of the guns on the front? You said there were 4 cannon, 2 on each side.
There's 4 cannon on the sides.
And then
And
there's another one mounted on the
there's a ballista on the front.
Okay, so I guess Talmud's gonna get that ready.
All right. So unless anybody changes orders, then after a few moments, the ship begins to respond to the actions of the crew and begins to come about as several of them are adjusting the sails, and it's taking 2 crew on the wheel, turning it hard, and suddenly Victor, who's floating back and forth very quickly, comes flying up to the capstan, and he says, "Not yet, not yet, not yet, now!" And they kick the release lever and do a very quick and controlled dropping of the anchor, or rather not controlled, I should say, because it's just very quickly dropping. The capstan is spinning very rapidly in front of you and the others who are on standby, drown. And I need everybody to make dexterity saving throws as the anchor hits the ground. In the nature of a bootleg turn, it is the ocean equivalent of an e-brake turn. As now that the anchor has hit and catches, the ship is going to swing very tightly. And yes, I need dexterity saving throws from everyone.
17.
All right. 17
Natural
for
20.
All right.
8 for me.
Make one for
11.
Hermes as well.
11 for drown.
16 for me.
Prepare yourself. I got a 10.
Hermes got a 17.
Hermes. Griveth, what'd you get?
16.
Hermes, Griveth, Cantriel, and Thorgarn are all good. Fig and Drown and Talmud are sent sprawling across the deck. I'm going to flip a coin and see. Of course, I have a lovely Kraken symbol on this, appropriate for the sea. I'm going to flip this D2, and if the Kraken turns up, it's going to be the least favorable of 2 outcomes. First for Drown. The Kraken has come up. You slam into the spinning capstan. And as a result...
That makes sense, as he would try to cheat towards it anyway, since it needs to be grabbed.
All right, so I'm because of the capstan, I'm upping the damage die. You're going to take 2d8 bludgeoning. You take 9 bludgeoning damage as you sort of were a little too eager in prepping to grab this thing, and you get thrown into it as it's making its last few revelations. Fortunately, the anchor's already hit, so you get whacked about 3 times by the capstan arms, and you feel just bruising in your ribs. Nothing seems to be broken. Same thing for Fig. Fig, you go flying towards the railing. It's only because you're a Warforged is why this image popped into my head. Is it's very much like C-3PO getting thrown across Jabba's sail barge. And I'm going to need another dexterity saving throw as you go to the railing.
I'm going to use a domain die.
All right.
That was a 3. Oh, good. That's a 2.
Talmud, you take 5 bludgeoning damage as you are slammed into you're slammed into part of the railing where it's more solid, but sort of there's a transition from a curved part of where it comes down from the quarterdeck, very solid. You slam into it. You take 5 points of bludgeoning damage. Cantriel, Thorgarn, and Griveth, make me perception checks. I know with Cantriel, it's almost like how far into the ethereal plane can you see?
For the 26.
I must be looking in the right direction because that is a dirty 20 for Thorgarn.
Ooh, Griveth got 11.
So Griveth doesn't see it, but Cantriel and Thorgarn see as Fig goes overboard.
No! That's what she'd say that.
With those failed rolls, Fig goes flying towards the railing, and I imagine it's almost backwards, trying to get your bearings, and you're just sliding across the wet deck, and you hit the railing, and you just flip over backwards and go into the sea.
Drown didn't see or hear anything?
You did not. This happened at the same moment you were getting battered by the capstan. And I imagine you're already now at the point, since you said you were going to sort of ready for this, to begin getting control of the capstan and raising the anchor up.
Yep. We'll try and double time it.
So Thorgarn and Cantriel were the only two that saw Fig go over. Now you are turning hard to port, which is to the left. And Fig, you went off the starboard because of inertia. You went flying off the starboard bow, or starboard railing. So what are you all doing? We know Drown is working with the other crew members, quickly raising up the capstan to raise the anchor back up. Which only takes a couple revolutions before the ship begins to straighten out of this, pretty much having made a 90-degree turn. Cantriel and Thorgarn, what are your reactions seeing Fig go over?
Run in the direction where Fig just tipped over and look down to see if he's visible.
Are there ropes, near the railing?
You're on a sailing ship. There are ropes everywhere.
So Thorgarn, just basically drops his weapons to the deck, grabs a rope, and dives in.
So, go ahead, Fig.
I think as Fig is falling, or as he's kind of plummeting down into the water, there's no real expression on his face. I mean, there really never ever is, but he seems quite calm. This is not his first time he has fallen overboard or fallen in general, or so he's calm, but he sees Thorgarn, the splash, jump in, and he wants to he kind of shakes his head. He's going to try and swim towards Thorgarn if he can.
Okay. So Cantriel, you do see a glimmer of this sort of copper and brass of actually, how are you presenting? Because you have that ability with your new form to basically make it look like whatever. I know you wear your robes and your hat, but how are you presenting in terms of physical appearance?
I imagine very colorful. He has recently just been ever since he was allowed to dress in all those different clothes at the Lady Vantage, he has just fallen in love with that. And so almost every day you see him in a different assortment of colors that perhaps look absolutely garish together, but he likes the brightest colors. So it would almost maybe look like a disco ball right now is sinking.
Fig is like that person that constantly hits randomize on the character generation screen. Every day, just new look.
Yep.
So Cantriel, you can absolutely see Fig. And Fig, I just need a athletics check as you swim through the water.
Can I tie in? Make sure the end of the rope that Thorgarn has taken is secured, so we don't get the combo.
I'm gonna say this. Since you're the one checking it, go ahead. Let's do a classic. We're gonna do a D100, one of my sliding scale D100s, but there is a I'm going to say there's a 5% chance that the rope is not tied.
Lord.
So if you get within, we'll say if you get within 3 on either side of the number I rolled, then the rope is not tied.
96.
I rolled a 79. So the rope is tied. You quickly run to the side and you see where it's sort of uncoiling, and you can see that it's securely fastened to the side of the ship. Okay. Thorgarn, you splash down into the water. Fig, what did you get for your athletics check?
Fig got a 17.
And as you sort of dive down into the water with this rope around you, you suddenly see that Fig is pretty much swum right up to you.
So I would imagine that Fig, Fig just kind of very calmly swims up to you, holds on to you, and begins to lead you instead of the other way around in the water. And you see this door of ethereal light begin to open up as Fig casts Dimension Door, carrying Thorgarn.
Which is probably a good thing, because that's right about the time, Thorgarn, you would have felt the rope begin to grow very taut in your hands as the ship is moving at about picking up speed again, is moving at about 4 knots ahead of you, and then suddenly you're on the deck, and I am going to award you a domain die, because Unmade Gaming has just raided the channel with 15 viewers.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to Unmade Gaming and Co. All right.
So he looks at Fig as like, well, it wasn't supposed to work like that. Thanks.
I very much appreciate your thought. I think that's what matters most.
Drown, you have successfully pulled up the with the others. You've re-secured the capstan after a few moments. Cantriel and Griveth, you had managed to maintain control of yourselves through this maneuver, and you hear this incredible Talmud. You are sort of picking yourself up from a tangle of ropes and just the wet deck where you collapsed, or rather were unceremoniously thrown when the ship turned. And there's this tremendous sort of as this bright light passes overhead, and as it does so, you see that this light is leaving a trail of about 30 feet of light behind it. You looking towards it, it's very bright, but you can see once it passes by, beyond the white that was the forefront of this streak of light, you see the full spectrum of colors splaying out from this. And as it passes by and continues on for about 100 yards, and it moves pretty much over the stern of the ship, it seems like if this maneuver had not taken place, this thing may have taken the tops of all three of your masts. As it was very close. It causes the sails to billow. The ship begins to rock violently. And bizarrely, autumn leaves fall upon the deck of the ship and in the water all around it in the wake of this thing. Bright red, orange, yellow autumn leaves, even some purples. 100 yards, 200 yards off to what is now your port as it passes by. And there is a tremendous crashing sound. And you watch as water, the seawater, geysers up hundreds of feet into the air. There is just a magnificent plume of steam that seems to play out multiple rainbows, though the sun is hidden behind the clouds. Multiple rainbows are visible in this spray. And the waves from this begin to crash against the side of the ship, causing the ship to further rock. Of course, Talmud, I'm going to need a good old Constitution saving throw from you.
I'm going to fail.
Talmud, not able to handle it. I just picture this, if you'll allow me this, Jeremy. I picture Talmud sort of starting to pick himself up, then all of this is happening, and then he just looks over, holds up a single red leaf, and then just hurls. And as the waves are hitting the side of the ship, I'm not going to require dexterity saving throws from anybody. They're not that strong. But as Thorgarn and Fig, you are just dripping with water from your recent dip. Drown, you're a bit battered, but still fine. Griveth, I just imagine Griveth standing at the bow of the ship, just basically grabbed a rope and held on, his hair sort of blowing back in the wind. You all look to where this plume, a couple hundred yards off the port, settles down and the waves begin to settle down. And you see, as the mist from this surge of sea begins to settle, there is a small island there, where there was not one moments before. You hear from high up in the crow's nest, "Land ho!"
Ooh, that guy's lucky.
I imagine at this point in time, like
Right.
Talmud, gets himself, calm enough and excited enough to be like, "What? There's land? I can get off this thing?"
It looks like you are looking at wherever this plume hit. You are looking at the end, like a sort of almost like a peninsula of an island that seems to be, as the mist continues to settle, this peninsula looks like it juts out. It's the edge, forming the edge of a bay that is hundreds of meters across. And you see now, as more of the mist settles and this island comes into view, an island that looks like it could be at least a half a mile or more along this coast. And it rises up towards the center, and you see that this island is covered in deciduous trees bearing red, orange, yellow, even some shades of purple leaves, as if in full autumn display. Next to you, Cantriel, you hear Victor. Look, I know that you've basically just been repeating everything I say this whole time, but I'm not really sure what to say to this.
Is that land supposed to be there?
It wasn't there 5 minutes ago.
Who cares? Please, let's go there. Let's go there with haste.
There might be a whole bunch of more of you over there, just forewarning.
Any place is better. Any place is better than this.
You really aren't doing well, are you?
4 notches.
On what?
My belt. I've had to tighten it 4 times.
Oh, I thought it was different notches.
The holes in the belt.
I think you'll live.
Captain Cantriel, I must advise you. This is Victor.
Mm-hmm.
He says that.
Yes.
I must advise you that as part of being the captain of a seafaring vessel such as the Evangeline, sometimes adventure presents itself before you. Who knows what great treasures could be on this mysterious island that has suddenly appeared before us?
Are you suggesting I boldly go where we haven't gone before?
That's an interesting premise for an adventure.
Do any of us know how to read a nautical map? There might be maps in the captain's quarters we can access.
We
I
can't
guess
see
we'd
much
be drowned.
beyond just like the leaves and stuff, correct?
You can see that essentially you are already sailing along the perimeter of this island at a distance that normally you would consider dropping anchor where had you approached deliberately. So you have a pretty good view. You're talking about maybe 500-600 feet off to the port side of the ship. You're looking at these brilliant white sands, crystal blue waters in the bay. You are seeing all of the fall-looking trees. And as you look out across these trees, Cantriel, with your ridiculously high, I believe it's 20 now, passive perception, you catch up near the top of what is essentially a large hill near the center of this island. You catch a flash of light. The same color as this white light with bits of this full spectrum, these sort of rainbows.
All right. Well, who feels like getting off the ship and going to find out what's going on?
Me.
Great. Maybe we can get some notches back on that belt.
With any luck.
Perhaps the rest of us should go as well.
Well, if we're getting off, I think we all should.
Does this mean anything to any of you? Fig, I know you've studied much.
Would Fig have read anything about any of this?
I will allow you to make a history check.
Ooh. Okay. 23.
While you've not heard or read of anything that has anything to do with this mysterious light manifesting, islands mysteriously appearing out of nowhere in the sea, you have read about these brilliant displays of color and their association with sudden appearances, with mists, even with the displays of the rainbows, and they are almost always associated with the Feywild.
I am afraid that I do not know much with this, but I do believe that it has something to do with the Fae.
Well, yeah.
And for some reason, I think Fig would look to Cantriel for some reason. and
Cantriel's there like, well, yeah.
Yeah, Cantriel, what is your Eladrin affinity or Eladrin background?
I kept her.
Are you a season or are you a variant? I can't remember.
I'm DMG.
Okay. Very good. But yeah, I mean, being a Ladrin, you have a bit of innate knowledge of the Fae wild. Griveth, one of the crew comes sort of running up next to you and says, I didn't think it would be so, but when you mentioned the maps, I thought I'd go check. This island is not on any of the charts. There's not supposed to be anything here for miles.
Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it.
Victor, having sort of just been listening as you all seem to be vying for landing, has already given the orders to bring in the sails and lower the anchor, and brings the ship a little bit closer, but it looks like the crew member up in the crow's nest has a good view that any closer, and though it is sand, it appears to be sand, you run the risk of bottoming out the ship, so you will have to take a longboat to shore.
I think as soon as that's mentioned, Talmud's already standing by the shore boat, like with his gear gathered, ready to go. And he's kind of like just standing there impatient, like waiting for the rest of the group. Yes, come on, let's go.
My friends, I have a question for you. In the treasure room, we found a scroll. Protection from Fae. Is that fate? Or is that a warning that Captain Dervish knew something was... He knew of this place, and he knew that the ship needed protection, or the crew needed protection from something on this mysterious island.
Seems a massive coincidence, but wise to take it.
It does seem a coincidence, but sometimes fate intervenes, or destiny.
Fate, destiny, divine providence, however you want to look at it. It's definitely something that we should make sure we have with us.
Nothing we should take lightly. But something has brought us to this island. I agree with everyone. We should explore it. We should see what this is about.
Talmud doesn't like this idea, but Jeremy does. Dan brought up taking out the apparatus. Please tie up Talmud if you have to.
That's a dry way to get him through the water.
The apparatus does look like, based on your viewing of it, that it would only hold... I'm trying to remember if it's one or two.
Up to two.
Would hold up to 2 people. Is this something where you're actually going to do it? Or are you just discussing it?
Drown will not easily fit in it, I don't think. So I was just floating it out there because I know some other people might enjoy it.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big guy too, so I'm sure the 2 dwarves could fit in. And maybe even Cantriel if she squeezed in. Between the 2 dwarves.
I would say the 2 dwarves could fit in there. Would be, 2 medium or smaller creatures. So, if you head down to the hold, where the apparatus of Qualish is, who all goes down to the hold? Just Thorgarn and Talmud, or is anybody else going down with them? Okay. So the rest of you are taking a longboat to shore? All right. So you're all, the crew is helping to lower the longboat, and getting you in, and you're preparing, and beginning to row across, while the two dwarves head down, to the hold to take the apparatus of Qualish. All right. What is how do you want to go about this?
So, don't we have to, like, get in it and have them lower the barrel into the water, and then we can,
Well, so that brings us to the first question. As you get down into the hold and you're looking at the apparatus of Qualish, I imagine there's this moment where you're looking at the apparatus, and then you're looking at the door, the new door that Fig put in place. And then you're looking at the walls at the back of the hold, and you realize, how did this thing get in here? It's bigger than the door, and there's no openings anywhere else in the ship.
I'm not a shipwright or anything, nor magically inclined, you understand. But he just kind of leaves it hanging as he's kind of like slowly putting two and two together.
So we're gonna have to go call back the ship. So I run back up to the deck and I yell out to the craft, "There's a bit of problem."
Well, I mean, we'd probably hold off before. We're not just going to leave them behind. We'll make sure they can get going. And if they can't launch the apparatus, we'll not worry about it so much now. Or do we want to mess with seeing if like the wall?
Talmud, did you go up? Did you go up with Thorgarn when he went running up the deck, or are you staying down here with the apparatus?
No, Talmud's definitely the stubborn ass that thinks he can fix everything, even if he has no business trying. So he's just going to start fiddling with it, trying to see if he can get it to work.
All right. So as Thorgarn's running up to talk to the others, you see this apparatus, and of course there is a hatch. Go ahead and I'm going to say, because of the amount of time that was spent, Fig went over everything, that the hatch was figured out, how to open. But I still want Talmud to make a check to see if he was paying attention.
That's fair. This is a door, after all.
Yep. This is a door. You gotta have a DC check against a door. Give me an intelligence check.
You would ask for that. That is going to be, after rolling a 13, a 12.
That's enough. Because
right.
Fig did show everyone how to open this. You weren't feeling the greatest, but you almost accidentally discover the hidden catch that pops the hatch. And you can see that inside there is room for two people. A little bit of a tight fit, but you see that there's 10 levers and several buttons in here.
Yeah. He's going to start pulling levers and pushing buttons until something happens.
You crawl inside and you find, once you get inside there, you actually see that the control panel has this series of 10 levers, but you see that there is an 11th lever that looks like it's been added. There's a different color metal, and it's on the top side of this. So these 10 levers seem like they were all here originally deliberately, but there is an 11th lever, but you don't know what any of these levers do. If you decide that you are going to pull any of the levers, I would like you to roll a d10 to see which one you discover. Unless you pulled the top one, you can specify that one.
I think he's kind of drawn to that one. The fact that it's added
All right.
certainly makes him want to pull that.
So you reach up and you pull that lever.
Sorry.
Skunk. And give me a perception check.
That is going to be a 17.
You look through the front view of this apparatus, and you felt a shifting, and looking out the front viewport of the apparatus of Qualish, you see that the door to this hold appears to grow large in front of you.
He kind of calls out, "I figured it out!" To like nobody.
Your voice echoes and dies almost immediately in this small canister.
Okay. Need to make a walk forward. This one looks good. And I'll roll a d10.
Roll a d10.
9.
The apparatus suddenly just sort of seems to bottom to the floor, but nothing else happens. It just seems to almost rest on its belly.
No, I don't think that's going to work. He's going to undo that lever and then throw number 3.
You throw that switch, or that lever, and on the side, these shutters covering the windows go. You have found the window control lever.
Sweet, my first one was manual. So, yeah, I don't know if we want to cut to what everybody else is doing for a second.
Go ahead and give me another roll.
Okay, I'll throw another one. No, it's 9 again.
Re-roll if you already know what the lever does.
I figured that was okay to do that. A 1.
The apparatus suddenly, and you feel a shift in the balance, and the whole thing seems to suddenly be, all of the legs and tail of it are fully extended, as you seem to have basically put it in go mode.
Okay. So levers seem to move things. Let's find out what one of these buttons does. He's gonna press one of the buttons. Go down the whole.
The buttons appear to be decorative. Pressing the buttons do absolutely nothing.
Well, that doesn't do anyone any good.
Give me one more roll, and then we'll cut to what the others are doing.
It's a 3 again. It's a 3 again. That's a 1 again. Oh my god, that's a 1 again. Are you kidding me? A 2. Goodness.
The front porthole, where you see this now large door, just goes as you close the shutters to the front porthole. And that's where we're going to cut to Thorgarn up top, running to tell the others that, what the problem is. You're muted, Ted. Although that was pretty funny, you just going.
Well, I mean, really, I was doing it on purpose because they couldn't hear me, so I'm just trying to,
Well, they haven't left yet.
Yeah, that's it.
They're still on the edge. They're still like prepping.
We've lowered the boat down to the water, but we haven't launched.
So Thorgarn, Talmud and I haven't really figured out how to get it out of the room. It's kind of big. The door's kind of little.
Well, perhaps it won't work then. Collect him and
make sure that you guys weren't gonna.
We won't leave without you.
All right, let me go get Talmud. And this is apparently by the time I get down there where I'm assaulted by a robot crab.
It's like
All right.
down to the floor and back up and like opening and closing and like things are just moving everywhere.
All right, Talmud, go ahead and give me another D10 roll.
Number 5. Oh, that one's not it. Maybe it's this one.
Thorgarn. Only because you said it, Ted, and this is what Jeremy rolled. Thorgarn, you come running into the room, and you notice the apparatus of Qualish is about a quarter of the size that it was. And as you come into the room, one of the extended claws swipes at you. Jeremy, I would like you to roll an attack roll. And that's going to be with a +8 to hit.
How's a 17 do you there, Ted?
17 hits.
All right. You are going to roll 2d4 bludgeoning damage because this is a miniature apparatus.
I rolled 2 on the die.
You get thwacked by tiny robot claws in the midsection as you come running into this room. You have no idea what you've done, Talmud, unless you open those windows back up. Now that you know which one controls the windows.
Not a clue.
So instead of having you roll anymore in this, there's a brief few moments where Thorgarn and Talmud seem to be locked into this little bit of a struggle, as inside we keep seeing Talmud going outside. Thorgarn's dodging out of the way of this tiny apparatus, and eventually after a few moments you get it figured out and you are able to, in its miniature form, walk it out of the door and up onto the deck.
I think Talmud has had to relent and let Thorgarn drive.
Well, Thorgarn
At
can't
this
get
point-
in it
Well,
in its small form, not until you get it up out of the hole.
Oh, that's a great point.
so once we get to the deck, you can make it bigger, and then you can let me in. Yes, your cousin is more intelligent than you, not by much, but you know.
It's definitely not something he gave up willingly.
So
Him.
it takes a few moments, but then you get it up to the deck, you enlarge it, and then Thorgarn gets in it, and then you make it small again, and you're able to basically scuttle it over the edge. Maybe scuttle's not a good word to use in nautical terms, though it is what the Qualish does, is it scuttles like a crab. As you move up over the railing, and then just unceremoniously sort of topples forward into the water. And you find that basically you can operate this thing by either dropping down to the bottom, which is not too far, but you can also, using that number 9 lever, you can raise and lower it in the water. And you're able to walk it up onto the shore, while the rest of you paddle up onto the shore. As the longboat makes its landing onto the white sandy shores, this time, instead of Hermes being the one, we see as this apparatus of Qualish just scuttles by, and then it goes by backwards, and then it spins in place. And you have before you this Feywild forest that seems to be stretching before you on this mysterious island.
A 3-hour tour.
Dun, dun, dun.
And that seems like a great place to end this session.
I know it.
Yeah, who knows how long this trek is going to take. This is the entire season, is this island. And it's all takes place in one day.
That checks out.
Across 24 episodes, 1 hour each episode, and we're going to call it 24. Wait, that's been done.
Oh, God.
So how interesting is the long rest going to be? Hey guys, you have to watch us sleep for an hour.
8 episodes.
Wait,
Here
we're
you
going to
go.
go through all of the watch shifts. All right, for the next 20 minutes, nothing happens.
The first episode is learning to drive this crab.
Well, the first episode was 50% divvying up treasure. So I will say this. As you all are landing on the shore and you're about 500 feet off from the ship and the rest of the crew has stayed behind, Arnold, the bosun, comes up next to Victor, looking at this scene of this apparatus of Qualish scuttling around. Where in the hell did they get that thing? And that is where we're going to end. Since you very, very much had the only option was to get out on the deck in full view of the crew with this apparatus. But there we have it. Episode 1 of Season 4, Dawnbringers, The Heart of Nightfang Spire. This episode was Something Wicked This Way Comes. Next week, we will return, and these adventurers will begin to explore this mysterious island. And the following week, let's see, next week is... Nope, that's going to be the 30th. So we got 2 more weeks during of regular, and then the 3rd week from now will be the Jasper's Game Day stream week. Well, it is still going to be Dawnbringers. Nothing's really going to change, but we may be doing having a little more fun. It's going to be one of those where it's probably. In terms of domain dice, it's going to be a little different, and the fact that we're going to be constantly reminding you about the Jasper's Game Day charity stream. We hope to see you all there for that. Domain dice, all of these domain dice that are over here. Let me do this. The one thing with changing the layout and moving everything is I can't point above my head anymore at the domain dice, unless we're on this screen and I go, these up here, the domain dice. Those are going to go away, and we're going to bring in new domain dice specifically for that stream, because the domain dice are tied to the fundraiser, and you are also, for the first time ever that week, we are going to be using a new thing. We're going to use it during the stream. I may introduce it in other games. We're also going to be introducing D6 inspiration die, where those will be much the same as domain dice, but they can be used by individual players to add a D6 to any roll. They can be spent in the same way. It's part of the fundraiser for Jasper's Game Day. So again, we hope to see you for that. Thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. This is such a crazy time, so I feel like many of us need these games that much more. And I know, particularly with even though we played last week with an absolutely amazing one-shot set in the Wild Mount, which I need to get that uploaded. I was working on getting the last of the Dawnbringers Season 3 episodes up. I will get that, because I'm just remembering we had to kill that stream halfway through. So a lot of people haven't even seen how that one ended. So we'll get that up on the VOD for everybody to check out. It was a blast running that one. Wild Mount is such a fun place to play around in. But it's good to be back with the Dawnbringers. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen with this new season. Yeah. So, just want to remind you that we've got, in the couple of weeks before Jasper's Game Week, we've still got a lot of great streams that are going on. Tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern, you can tune in here to catch CFT RPG's production of The Curse of Strahd. That's our friend Alan from CFT RPG. Tamiko, who is always in the chat here, is one of the players in that game as well. But Alan runs that, and they have a pretty incredible game of Curse of Strahd going on. And then Sunday night, we'll be back with some Jolt of Personality. That is our level 13 game. Yeah, they just hit level 13. They're on the 5th level of the Tomb of the Nine Gods, rapidly nearing. They're pretty much in the home stretch of that campaign after more. I think we're up to 2.5 years now. We've been playing that game. Episode 66 will be this Sunday. Hopefully Monday night we'll finally get to put the Waterdeep Dragon Heist finale on. We've had some scheduling snafus for a while with that one. Tuesday night we return with Legends and Legacies, Tales of Phandelver, our every other Tuesday game, where I've got some great players going through the Phandelver setting. And then next Friday. Is it next Friday, Ted?
Yes.
Next Friday. Wait, is it next Friday? We said the 24th, right? I'm getting so confused on my. I'll trust you, the DM.
Yeah,
Ted is DM.
Jake and V will be over on my channel, Nerdarchy, for the RPG Crate game. They are lovingly referred to as the Chaos Crew. It's absolutely bonkers and crazy, so you definitely want to check it out.
And that reminds me, speaking of Nerdarchy, I'm just checking my reminders. I gotta check with Doug again, but I think it's on the 27th, which is a Monday. I'm gonna be with Dave on the Nerdarchy lunchtime live stream, promoting. We'll have a lot more information about Jasper's Game Day and talking about Mini Terrain Domain and whatever else Dave wants to talk about. So, as you can see, we got a lot of great stuff going on not only this channel, but with other channels. Just everybody here has some awesome stuff going on. Check out their channels, and follow everybody on social media. These are some pretty cool people. So with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to end this stream the same way we end every stream, and you can say it with me if you want.
Happy birthday, Jake!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Wah.